The truth is coming out. And I really also believe that Jim Manning's book is a huge release on the JFK assassination, because if I could say there were three things that would prove this whole thing, one would be the pictures we've shown tonight of James Files with the Operation 40 group and Che Guevara. Two would be Jim Manning's book, where he re-releases the information that was released in the book Regicide, which is the Operation Zipper document. The third thing is, just a comprehensive, not only the book Primary Target JFK, but the comprehensive details that nobody else knew. You know what I mean? And so it's sad that we're having these technical issues tonight, cutting in and out. But Patriotism Unhinged is probably the only place you'll almost never find. And I'll let Jim talk about his own book, but man, to find the details of the Operation Zipper document, the only place right now you can get it at any of a reasonable price is Jim Manning's book. And his YouTube videos, the audience, man, they ought to go viral, because Jim released the details about Chappaquiddick and about, killing Mary Jo Kopechne and running the car over and all this stuff is covered in Jim Manning's YouTube videos, and that's not in his book, but the information about Operation Zipper, which was the CIA's plan to kill John F. Kennedy. The other thing too that we didn't get in a lot of detail, but David Atlee Phillips issued James Files the Remington XP100 bolt-action pistol chambered in .221 Fireball that he used to kill John F. Kennedy. So a CIA-issued pistol was used to kill Kennedy. That was the final shot. The other shots were not CIA weapons. But go ahead, Jim Manning.
When you talk about things that prove it, one of the things that I believe is most important is that whenever the guy in the tower was talking to Mark Lane years ago, he said that he was in the tower and he heard a bang, and he also saw a big flash. And he said that brought his attention over to the fence, he said. And later, maybe a few minutes later, he brings it up again. He said, yeah, that flash is what really got my attention. Well, when Jim Scott sent that picture, which we had up a little while ago, of him shooting a XP, that sealed it for me, that would be the thing that everybody would say, well, who else had one of those guns? And that's the flash that Lee Bowers is talking about. And that sewed it up. And so any lingering people, I've been pushing that today. Anyway,
at least we got most of it done without it turning into spin and spin.
Thanks, Pamela and James Files.
Yeah. No, they're leaving, I guess. Well, anyway, this is my book, Patriotism Unhinged, and I'll tell you why it is important. Whenever the Central Intelligence Agency put Operation Zipper in effect, when they put it in effect, they didn't, let's see, I dropped my microphone a minute ago. When they put it in I'll start again. The book Regicide came out.
You hear me now, Jim?
Yeah. The book Regicide came out in 2002. That was it wasn't a admission of guilt. It was wanting to take credit for the assassination of John Kennedy. And they did that because is Jim's wanting to talk? Is that?
Yeah, he keeps going in and out, unfortunately, though.
Yeah.
Pam,
Well,
if you can hear us, mute your phone. You've got bad service there, and it's cutting in and out, and we can hear you talking.
anyway,
Jim Man.
so this book was written by Gregory Douglas. However, it was all information that he got from one of the top men. His name was Robert Trumbull Crowley. And he wanted to take credit for it because he believed that the Kennedys had committed treason. And he didn't want it to come out until after his death. So he interviewed a number of people. He chose one. The one that he chose was somebody that was also an intelligence writer. He was born in Germany, but came over like when he was a baby. And he had written a historical book on Heinrich Müller. Now, Heinrich Müller was the head of the Gestapo. And in 1946, 7, whenever the United States engaged in Operation Paperclip, they brought over between 1,700 and 2,200 Nazi specialists, Werner von Braun, for example. But they had people that were in intelligence and rocketry and all. They brought them all over. And unfortunately, they didn't want anybody to know that they were bringing Heinrich Müller, the head of the Gestapo, in because of what it would do to the American Israelis. So they knew that he knew about that. And so they were afraid to go too far with him. They kept telling the agency kept telling Robert Trumbull Crowley not to talk to him. But anyway, he did anyway because he knew that was the right guy to do the book. So when he died, Crowley's son gave all of the documents that he had taken out of Langley because he was the main guy doing the paperwork on the assassination. So he had they were marked secret, top secret, and there's many documents, but the main ones have been hidden because when the book was published, they published 10,000 copies of it. And somebody at the CIA was asleep at the switch. And they started mailing them out to people who had pre-ordered them. And they sent them out to all of their customers who were bookstores and libraries. So what they did was they went immediately to the publisher. They commandeered all the books that were on that property. They made them give them a list of all the copies that were sent to bookstores. And they and other American agencies like the FBI and other ones went out and they picked up all the books that were in the libraries and in the stores. And then they weren't even happy with that because they put an article, made an ad that they placed somewhere where they thought people that read a lot might see it. And it said that if you had a copy of Regicide, you could send it to them and they'd give you $100 for it. And so they come flying in. And so in order for me to get a copy, it took me 2 years. And and I had to pay $300 for the copy of the book. Now, in that book, all the information that anybody would want and need on the assassination is in it. But recently, after my book came out, I started to see that that came out on Kindle. And since I had the book, I didn't go to Kindle and read it. And just last week, studying some European stuff that I do, I found out that it is published again on Kindle, but they had to take out 4 main sections of the book. So I think it's like, instead of having 250 pages, it's 139 or something. So all the good stuff is gone. And a lot of that was elements of Russian communiques between the United States back to Moscow, and then it was interpreted by the DIA, and so all of that information I don't think is probably going to get to Anna Paulina Luna that she's expecting, or maybe already has. But besides getting one of those books, which, like I say, are 2 years and $300, this book is the only other book that I know in the world that has that information in it. This is it. Now you can get this on Kindle for, I don't know, $8, $10. And I think the paperback is under $20. And they do have the hard copies too. So anyway, I make
You got
that
an audiobook too. Good job.
Yes, it's on audio. It's actually on 337 platforms around the world, and
Wow.
It's available in Germany. It's selling well in England, Australia, Canada, and also surprisingly in Japan. And also, I was told that anybody from those countries that asks for it in that language, they get it in that language. So we want to get the information out. It's not about making money. I can tell you, haven't made a penny on the book. It costs quite a bit to do this, to make a book. And the average book, when you self-publish it, and the reason it's self-published is because I own the copyright.
Yeah.
The book that was written before Regicide was printed by a company. And so when you print it by a big company, they own half the copyright and the writer owns half the copyright. But they can sell their copyright to the government, and that's the end of the story. So I didn't do this to make money. I did it to get the information out. That's what I am all about. And so I'm hoping that we will get the call from the Anna Paulina Luna to come up there, because I think we can make it'll be a real eye opener, and it doesn't matter to the people up there whether the information is good for Democrats or Republicans. Everybody wants to find out how this really happened. And I thank you all.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, this is I've got 3 copies, and I've had 5 of them. 2 of them I've sold. Can you see it clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the original copy he was alluding to, Regicide, the official assassination of John F. Kennedy by Gregory Douglas. And these books, I've seen these sell on eBay for $450. Jim's book contains the most important part of this book, and you can find this online, Regicide, but it's had Appendix A has been removed. And if you want to, we probably should do a show in the future and talk just about this document, because Donald Trump said he was going to release all the JFK documents, and you probably can't see it very well, but the Appendix A in this book, this is the cover. There's a table of contents. The original book, and I'll hold it just up for a second. The original document is supposedly 92 pages long. The meat of it is 28 pages. It has the what do you call it, Jim? The statement of what's it called? Jim Manning's got really good YouTube videos about this. It's the statement of policy, and I'll read the first couple lines. But the magic of this document, okay, that is in the original book, is this is the smoking gun document that proved the CIA killed John F. Kennedy. And I'm going to make another revelation right here. In a way, because of they operate under Title 50 of the U.S. Code, which means they can kill people that are a threat to U.S. Sovereignty and national security. Basically, what the CIA did is they had this kangaroo court, and it's called Operation Zipper. Probably 5 or 6 people knew about it. I would say Alan Dulles and James Jesus Angleton and John McCone, because he was the new DCI, Robert Trumbull Crowley, William King Harvey, and a couple others, the people at the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. Lyndon Johnson was he was a conspirator, like cooperative. He was going to gain. He wasn't going to be indicted on all those murders and all that agricultural grant money that he had stolen from the government. And he was going to become the president of the United States. So he had a lot to gain. But this document that's in Jim Manning's book is the smoking gun that proves that the CIA killed John F. Kennedy. But why is that? Well, they operate under Title 50, not Title 10, like the U.S. military, that gives the U.S. military to go to foreign countries and kill people and is legal. Title 50 is what they use to do assassinations. So you would have to prove or accuse and convict somebody of high treason or some kind of, something of national security. And John F. Kennedy was sharing the presidential daily briefing from the CIA with the Russians. And that's what they said that he did. Now, it doesn't say that in this document, but that's what it was. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently released in an interview that the wires for the red telephone that was in his father's home that they used to talk to the KGB colonel, those wires are still, that telephone line is still in his home to this day. But in the statement of policy, it basically says the removal of the president and the attorney general, which would have been Robert Kennedy, from their positions because of high treason has been determined. This is the smoking gun that made it legal for the CIA to kill John F. Kennedy and Robert. And they did kill both of them. Sirhan Sirhan did not kill Robert Kennedy. He was killed by a CIA operative named Thane Caesar. And Jim Manning's book, Patriotism Unhinged, is an update really to this book. If you can get your hands on this, once in a while they pop up on eBay. I look for them all the time. I've found them from $50 to $300. And I've seen them on there for $450, $500, but I'm not going to pay that for it because I already have 3 copies. And actually, I've had 5 copies, but sold 2 of them to friends of mine. Jim Manning's book is the smoking gun under Title 50 because the CIA needed a reason. So they had this kangaroo court. They convicted him of high treason. And now under Title 50, because he's an enemy of the state, so to speak, they can kill him. And that's what they did. But Jim Manning's book is brilliant. It's regicide, Section 2 is really what it is. But also it includes, so the first 6 pages are the statement of policy. And then there's a page of abbreviations for the code so you can decode the next several pages. There was a couple pages in there, and if you want to pull them up, there's 2 pictures I sent you of John F. Kennedy's head. So the Operation Zipper document, the first 5 or 6 pages are the statement of policy. Then there were photographs, autopsy photographs of JFK. Then there was all these notes of the meetings that were taken by Robert Trumbull Crowley, the deputy director for clandestine operations, at the CIA. And guys like that have to make some pretty serious decisions that involve national security. And I'll tell you one that was done by a friend of mine. I went to college at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. I was just at my 45th reunion this weekend. I spoke with Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina, and I'm talking to her director of operations now about getting to speak or to have us speak at this oversight committee in Congress and getting Jimmy to be able to be interviewed there. But a guy that was a class behind me in 1981 is Greg Vogel. And Greg is a college professor. It's on the internet. He's at the George Bush School of Intelligence at Texas A&M University now. He's retired from the CIA. He went to the Citadel, was in the Marine Corps. I won't tell you the whole story, but he went to the CIA. I think you worked with Greg in Afghanistan. He was chief of station there twice.
Chief Station, Afghanistan. Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, Greg, he is a great American. He won the, I think it's called the Distinguished Intelligence Star. It's equal to the Medal of Honor. He's the guy that saved Hamid Karzai's life in an accidental bombing. But Hamid Karzai, and this is the kind of decision the guy has to make. Greg didn't make this decision, but somebody came up with the idea that Hamid Karzai was going to be the president of Afghanistan after we overthrew the country. And that's what we did. And they put Hamid Karzai, they named the airport Hamid Karzai International Airport there okay? But Hamid Karzai is not what his biography says he is. When he was hired, basically recruited by the CIA to be the president of Afghanistan, he was a hot dog vendor on the mall in Washington, D.C. But the biggest reason that he was recruited by the CIA, it's absolutely true. Eric Prince verified that from Blackwater, okay? But when Hamid Karzai got recruited to be the president of Afghanistan, the biggest reason was, several reasons. He could speak English well, he was pro-American, all that kind of stuff. But his brother, which might actually be a half-brother, Waleed, is the biggest opium dealer in Afghanistan. And shortly before the United States pulled out of Afghanistan, the facility he was in was bombed and he was killed. Imagine that. But Hamid Karzai's brother, and I don't know if you know the story, but Karzai bugged out of Afghanistan right before it fell with millions of dollars in a private jet. So who knows? He's probably owns one of those big houses on the Intercoastal Waterway in Miami, I imagine, down there next to Zelensky's house. But he was a hot dog vendor. His brother was the biggest opium dealer in Afghanistan, and the Taliban had run off all the opium poppy growers, before we went in there. But when we went back to Afghanistan, they were producing something like 3 to 5% of the world's opium. But by the time we left, they were producing like 97% of the world's opium. Now, what does that tell you? I forget the name of the city. If we'll do a show in the future and talk just about Operation Zipper and like Jim Manning's book and talk about the relevance and the weight of this document, there you go. Those would have been those autopsy photographs, that picture and the other one I sent you would have been. Now you can tell if you really look at that he was hit in the temple. Okay, it blew the whole backside of his head out. There's another picture that I sent you that's a .221 fireball from 29.3 yards, 88 feet from the picket fence, 50 grain bullet, boom. I got one of the boxes of the ammunition on my mantle back there. And I could show one of the XP100s if you want to. But Jim Manning's book, it reveals everything that this book, the CIA tried to cover up. Regicide, you can't find these books anywhere hardly. But Jim Manning's book's got it's all in there. And it's got that. So the first section was a statement of policy. Second section, there you go. That's what happens when a little 50 grain bullet going about 2,700 feet per second. And it was a mercury bullet too.
Mercury.
Yep. It was filled. You can make those easy. If you take I've got, actually when Walt Berger bullets are really famous right now, Berger match bullets. But when Walt started that company, he lived out near Tucson. There were high school kids in the afternoon that would come to his house and work in his garage. And he was making these handmade match bullets. But now it's a big bullet company. Somebody bought it and expanded it, and they got machines making them. But the original handmade Walt Berger match bullets, you can put mercury in them. You can put whatever you want. You can put water in them and freeze them. You can do whatever. All it takes is a bullet mold, and you just have to have the press to put them together. But going back to Robert Trumbull Crowley, if he hadn't released this document and then Gregory Douglas hadn't written this book, Regicide, I don't know if Jim Manning would ever known about that kind of stuff. But God moved him to write this book, Patriotism Unhinged, I think. And I'll tell you, I think it ought to be the biggest bestseller in New York Times, history, because it is the smoking gun that proves that the government killed John F. Kennedy.
Well, there were other people involved too, like the oil barons, like Jim
Yeah.
talks about in chapter 8.
Yeah. There was a lot of reasons that they killed Kennedy. They wanted the Vietnam War. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Marilyn Monroe's leaking the
Oil
UFO
depletion
stuff.
allowance.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, he just pissed off too many people, And go ahead, Jim.
I was just saying oil depletion allowance. Also wanting to team up with the Russians on space exploration. They had. I don't have a perfect answer on this, but I understand from some readings that they had started to decrease the number of nuclear they had at that time. They were going to get down to where they had a certain number, but it wasn't going to be as high as it is now. And so there was a lot of people, Israel, they were fighting like hell to get the nuclear bomb, and he wouldn't give it to them. And then it was another spy, our head spy, James Jesus Angleton, was spying for the Israelis and gave them what they needed to do it. So, they would turn around and kill him. But anyway, there's a list. I could probably make up like 12 different groups that were very happy that he was killed. Not to mention all the companies that were in the military-industrial complex.
That's right. And one of the ironic things, and Michael knows this, but I like to mention it when we get on this subject. After Kennedy was killed, they buried him at sea, And I've recently heard somebody said that because he was a Navy man, Robert F. Kennedy requested this. But nobody has ever made that public, and I think it was spite because he had mercury in his head, and if they left his body in the grave. But his body's not in his grave in Arlington National Cemetery. It's out in the ocean. But, like you were talking about, there's a lot of people that wanted him dead, but I think it was a cruel joke. He was buried in a white concrete box that had holes in it. And if you go on Main Street, about a block from Dealey Plaza, there's a big JFK memorial there. And it's a white concrete box with these circles on it. Now, who in the world would think to memorialize John F. Kennedy's life by a white open box? That is, there it is right there. And all it is like 4 walls with gaps in it so you can walk into it. And all that is an inside joke to the people that know that they buried him in a concrete box off of, where is
Nantucket?
it? Nantucket, yeah. Out there where, and it's probably not too far from where John Jr. was, because he was buried off a U.S. naval vessel, and Ted was there at the ceremony, I think. So
I don't think they killed him.
Who? John? They're saying he's still alive. I've heard that. I wish they would show it. I mean, if they could bring it out. John F. Kennedy Jr.
Who's still alive?
John F.
JFK
Kennedy
Jr. is still
Jr. I
alive.
think he is.
Oh, no.
That maybe they faked his death, maybe, because there was a rumor that Hillary was going to have him killed because she was trying to run. What is she?
Sure, yeah.
She's from Chicago. Her dad was associated with the mafia. She was the wife of the governor of Arkansas, and all of a sudden, New York elects her as their senator. That's as shady as it gets,
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
Boy.
All right, gentlemen. It's been an epic show, and we have to mute you, Jim. Get something strange going on with your.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, it's
Go ahead.
no wonder. It's no wonder that the people of the United States can't understand that all these things could happen. It's just like a movie, to them. It's hard for them to believe. It was hard for me to believe. I mean, it took me 60 years to finally let it all sink in. And I tried to get somebody else to write this book. I'm not a writer and couldn't do it for 5 years. And so I decided I'd take a shot at it. But almost everything that we talk about is something like, wow, wow, wow. And I'm now featuring on, because so many people now don't know about all the killings. And so I'm working off of, what's his name, the comedian? Belzer, yeah. Great book, by the way. Hit list, great book. I've been working off that list and building what I say are bricks. 2-3 people on each YouTube that I do. I tell why they were killed, who they were, if we know who killed them, and why. And the responses that I'm getting on YouTube are just fantastic. I never knew this. I never heard of that. If I ever get up to that Washington committee, I think I might start off with saying, how many of you that are on this committee know that Hamid Karzai sold hot dogs outside here? Because to them, that would be like, when I heard that, I said, oh my God. But Jim's right. They do things like that to show for like comedy, for comedy. No, very few people know that. And so it's very hard when you're fighting millions of dollars. They have unlimited funds. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about the CIA, you mention any paper in the United States, there's probably somebody from the CIA, and the big papers like the New York Times and the Washington Post and Chicago Tribune and all those papers. I bet you they have 15, 20 people. Most of them are in editing and they're in all different things they do, but they can see everything that's coming in and they can stop it. They can stop it. And that's why nothing gets out. And same things in the magazines. So with all that money and all those people that they can put in place, and it's very, very difficult to get anything out. And so I love internet because without the internet, there probably was never going to be a chance. But they didn't see the internet when this all happened, like they didn't see the technical advancement in photography. That people that took just little tiny 4x6 pictures in Dallas that day of the crowd or this, that, how they have been blown up to where we now see that W. Bush at 17 years old was in Dealey Plaza on the day of the assassination of the 35th president of the United States. And must have been CIA bring your kid to work day because his dad was also there with him. And Ed Lansdale all of a sudden is in Dealey Plaza, the head of the CIA and the government's black operations at that time. I mean, we wouldn't have these pictures we wouldn't know all this.
And thank you, gentlemen, because you guys have been on the cutting edge of this information, pushing the truth when the truth, a lot of people don't want this truth to get out there. So lots of bravery from both of you. And, I and the rest of my audience in the world salute you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.